Well, almost everyone has goals of getting in shape come summertime.
And here to help us reach those goals and get us moving today from Pursuit Fitness and Performance Institute are Garrett Art and Matthew Steinberg. Welcome, guys. We just, before we got started here, learned all sorts of things about what you guys do at Pursuit. Wide range of things, but let's talk specifically about the sports performance that you are working with athletes.
Yes, absolutely. You know, one of the things that we do offer, as you mentioned, is sports performance. And when we talk about sports performance, we don't really lift a lot of weights. We don't do a lot of conditioning. What we do is we focus on how the athlete actually moves, and especially at an age that Matthew's at. It's more important for him to utilize his body the best way possible before we start loading his body with weight and external resistance. So we talk a lot about force production and how we apply forces to the ground to get us in the direction we want to go. So if I were to come up to a wall, push into the wall, my force is going this way, I'm going to go back this way. So our force has to go in the opposite direction that we want to go. Unfortunately, for athletes that play sports on flat surfaces, like every athlete other than maybe track athletes and swimmers, we have to find a way that we can apply those forces directly behind us in the most optimal way. And to do that, we talk a lot about body positions.
I would imagine it's you can always add more weight and more speed and things over time, but if you don't get some of these specifics right early, that could probably cause some long-term problems.
We are very big proponents of adding a solid foundation to our athletes so that they can develop properly and we can build upon that, but also we're not going to injure them in the process, because if they don't have solid biomechanics, everything that we do on top of faulty biomechanics is just going to fall apart.
Tell us about Matthew here. Matthew, what kind of sports are you playing?
Right now, it's just baseball, but I usually more of conditioning sports. It's more like basketball and wrestling.
And he's going to demo a few right and wrongs for us today.
Absolutely, yes.
Better him than us.
Oh, for sure.
So, as I mentioned, we talk about how we put our body in a certain position to apply the forces behind us. And the nice thing is we innately already know how to do that. So, I'm going to have Matthew kind of demonstrate that.
Do we need to get out of the way or something?
You might want to scoot back just a little bit. He's pretty quick on his feet. He might be able to avoid you. So if he is to stand with both feet together and I ask him to go forward, there's one of two things that's going to happen. One is he's going to fall forward to go. So go ahead and do that. Okay. And two, he's going to take a step back or shuffle his feet to move forward. So go ahead and do that. Okay. In both those scenarios, he is leaning or getting himself in a position that's going to cause him to go forward, which puts his force behind him, okay? So we innately already know how to do that. What we don't innately know how to do is how to maintain that for a long period of time, okay? So at Pursuit, we teach the biomechanics of how we can do that. And
so it's not just at the start, it's through the entire motion that you're working on?
It's through the entire thing,
okay.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll just demonstrate the start today because we just don't have enough space to do the entire motion.
8 feet for you to do this.
Yeah, so, but it all starts with the starting position, because if the start position is poor, if it's not explosive enough, every step after that's going to be less and less explosive, less and less.
And this applies to all sports, not just trying to get a lead at a first base.
Yeah,
but
every sport.
Basketball,
Yep.
got it.
Yep. So, you know, we'll start with really the starting position. And we see a lot of kids get into really sloppy starting positions. And I've really worked hard with Matthew to get into a sloppy position because he's actually a pretty good athlete. So get into what we call a sloppy position. Okay, perfect. So there it is.
Perfectly incorrect.
Perfectly incorrect. So what we look at, when we look at kind of the spine and in the upper body, he does have a little bit of rounding, not as bad as I see in some kids. But if you don't have a nice rigid spine, you're not going to have enough kind of base to push against. It's how you transfer forces from upper body to lower body.
So we're going to run a little short on time, I think, here, but let's see what he should be doing.
Okay,
right.
Let's get into our proper position. Okay, it's all about positive angles. Positive means we're leaning in the direction we're going, and that means we're going to be applying the forces behind us. So he has a nice, good, rigid spine. Both his shin angles are leaning in the direction he wants to go. So if he pushes out of this position, he's in a position where his forces will go behind him.
And what kind of difference do you see this making over time? Like, you're learning it at his age. You see noticeable results as he goes through high school.
Best time to learn it is his age, because this is where they're learning how to do everything. You can go and stand on it.
Good point.
We're going to see how long you can stay like that, actually.
Yes, you're actually located inside the new Logic Everyday Community, so people can come learn more there.
Yes.
You have some new programs and products rolling out come fall.
Fall we'll have a whole slew of good, some preseason basketball as well as some general speed and agility training.
And if folks have an athlete that they would like to have you start training, there's a bit of a discount as well, I understand, if you mention CI.
Yeah, if you mention you saw me on CI Living, you'll go ahead and get a 5% discount on those programs.
Nice.
Well, it's a great opportunity for our budding star athletes to get in the right form and be successful. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Think of how much different it would have been for me if I had known all these things when I was that age. Oh, well.
There's a look at the Pursuit Fitness and Performance Institute's website, which we'll be happy to share with you over at CILiving.tv.